Important, if you have a flight, don't even bother going to the airport unless you're certain that it's going to be on time today. It looks like none are going to be leaving. And there's a lot of people stranded at this airport. A lot of them are sleeping on the chairs there and surrounded in the lobby. Some of them, however, are renting cars and taking off to other airports. Some of our own producers were stuck out in this mess this morning trying to get out to Houston, Florida. They wound up renting a car and going down to Tampa. A lot of people are opting for that. But at the airport, they are urging people to stay there and not go out on the freeways and hit the traffic. And they expect to be closed at least through today. But I'm hearing estimates saying they might not even open that airport until Monday. As I said, they just aren't equipped to get the ice and snow off the runway. So it is kind of a zoo right now, but we'll keep you posted.
Roseanne, you were out there through a good bit of the morning. What's it like out there? What are the people saying? I mean, where are they trying to go for the most part? I mean, obviously better off to stay at home, but where do they think they were going to go to?
Oh, people heading all over the United States, Bill. And surprisingly, a lot of them are really kind of taking this in stride. They say they understand that there's not much the airport can do about it. Others, on the other hand, are angry. Some have been there as long as 24 hours, and they really would like a place to stay and, you know, a warm meal, and they're a little frustrated. Not to mention that it's really disappointing when you want to be with your family over the holidays. But most, I'd say, are taking it in stride.
There must be some incredibly frustrated holiday travelers. I mean, obviously they're not going to be going anywhere this holiday season if they had planned on it.
You bet.
You know, I heard that the roads are indeed so treacherous, Roseanne, that even you had a little minor mishap. Not yourself personally, but you were involved.
I didn't know you knew about that, Bill. Yeah, as a matter of fact, one of a couple of mishaps to happen at the station today. Just a little fender bender slid into another car, but we saw a lot of that all along the interstate on the way in there. Cars flipped over. Luckily, I haven't seen anything serious. Haven't seen anybody hurt, but the cars are definitely sliding, and we urge you not to drive if you don't have to. It may not look bad, but take it from me, it's a little worse than it looks.
How fast were you going when you had the accident? I assume not very fast.
Oh, maybe 10 miles an hour tops. But somebody just stopped in front of us, and you just can't control it in this weather. You just slide off, you know, so.
So essentially just no way to stop even if you're going very slow. Thanks, Roseanne. Thank you very much for the report on the airport out there. Again, that's closed, as it looks like, through a good bit of the day, maybe throughout the rest of the day, even possibly for tomorrow. A lot of closings are, of course, going on. I want to show you what's going on as far as the rainfall and snow and sleet. The radar is showing precipitation right along the coast continuing, and that should probably be the case right on through the day now. It looked like it was going to end, but it is pretty much stalled right along the first coast and should continue to just kind of hang right in there. The beaches have had some significant snowfall. North of town also some very significant snowfall, several inches in southern parts of Georgia. Lake City is 25 degrees. They've had over an inch of snow as well. The satellite loop shows us the clouds have been pushing off to the east. However, the back edge of the snow still extends from about, well, Apalachicola to near Tallahassee, and that hasn't moved very fast. So I think we're going to stay in the light snow through the afternoon. There's another factor involved that may possibly give us some more bursts of snow through the afternoon. So it may look like it's going to let up, and then later on we perhaps will see a little bit more in the way of precipitation as far as that snow goes. And it's cold out there right now, 20 degrees here at TV 12. The wind chill, what it feels like, 3 degrees with a north wind at 12. And remember, we're downtown. A lot of the spots that are in open areas have higher wind chills and actually lower wind chills than that because the winds are a bit stronger in the open and in the outlying areas. Be careful if you're going out because hypothermia can be a problem if you're not dressed for this exact weather condition. The forecast for the afternoon continues the winter storm warning. We're looking at the light snow and the flurries continuing. From this point on, it's very possible we could see another inch of snow continuing. The businesses that are going to be closed through the rest of this day probably should include not only our bus lines being down, but the Jacksonville International Airport, of course, that is closed as well. And the Postal Service is trying to do some work. However, they're having some major problems with the roads as, of course, they are very much in poor condition. We continue, though, I guess we know the motto, though, that neither rain nor sleet nor snow nor dark of night will keep them away. So anyway, they are trying to deliver, but be patient if you are indeed expecting a package to come or trying to deliver something out a little bit later on. Not only in our forecast, but the marine forecast, very, very odd situation. A little gale center developing east of us, so the north winds will be offshore 25 to 35 knots. So, and indeed, a very messy weather pattern continues along the first coast, and it doesn't look like it's going to end right now. There again is the marine outlook. At least the winds are straight out of the north, and we're not seeing any flooding along the coast. However, the surf is indeed very rough, and the seas as well. So please try and stay put this afternoon. I guess that's the main thing we're trying to get across here. And please, if you want to call into WeatherTel, do that. I continue updating that about every hour or so with new conditions, as well as the forecast we expect. The number 356-8812, that's TV12 for the number. We'll be back with another update coming up in the next half hour. We'll try to have more important information as far as what you can do as far as the bridge closings and the rest of the information as well.
Stay tuned to TLV12 for further information. We now return to our regularly scheduled program.
More. Here's why. The moisture is still streaming up right from the Gulf over Jacksonville, and we have a low that's developing out here. That's going to stream snow this afternoon all through the southern Atlantic coast. So it looks like it's going to be a miserable day. There's a winter storm watch out now for more snow this afternoon and tonight, tapering off later tonight. We could see another 2 inches of snow in the area. There's also a wind chill advisory with wind chills picking up this afternoon. The wind will be increasing, so the wind chills will be going down to 0 to 20 below zero. Here's how it looks outside right now. Currently, it's 27 degrees. We have a wind out of the north, gusting to 14 to 22 miles per hour. That gives us a wind chill of 5 degrees. When it's gusting to 22 miles per hour, the wind chill goes down to 3 below. It's a very cold day outside. If you don't have to be outside, you shouldn't go. Here's a look at the forecast for the rest of today. Again, possible snow, windy, colder, sleet, and a combination of sleet and snow. This afternoon's high is also our current temperature, 27 degrees, and expected to start dropping this afternoon. Tonight, we're looking for a low of 18 degrees. It's not a day to be outside. Want to stay inside and limit your traveling as much as possible. Mike?
Thank you very much, Bill. The worst possible conditions out there. Again, if you don't need to go outside, you should not. Stay at home and stay warm. Now, to help us, again, sort things out a little bit more here, Matt Frankel with the Civil Defense is joining us now over the phone. Matt, can you tell us exactly what the conditions are like out there to, I guess, instill on people the need to stay home?
Well, let me tell you that we have, since your announcement, we have just closed the northbound lane of I-95 over the Trout River because of a truck blocking that lane. These things happen that quickly. We will be removing that truck as quickly as possible, but right now we have a blocked, one-lane block, the northbound lane of I-95 going over the Trout River.
Matt, can you tell us if there have been any serious injuries or casualties for that matter?
We have had no fatalities, which is remarkable for the number, just sheer magnitude of accidents that we've had. We've had some serious accidents, but thank God no fatalities.
Is most of that caused by high speed mixed with the icy conditions, or are people going slow and just, sliding off the road?
I just think it's not being able to deal with driving on ice. Us Floridians are not familiar with that type of driving. And I don't think it's so much speed as it is the skidding over the ice and just sort of playing almost like bumper cars in some cases.
Mm-hmm. As far as Jacksonville International Airport is concerned, is there any indication that the airport will be opening up soon, whether they've gotten out there with sand or salt trucks to open up the runways there?
Okay. Our indication is that the airport is not opening today. We're going to confirm that hour by hour. I think they're hoping, just as we are, for the warming trend that we may be getting tomorrow.
Okay, Matt Frankel, thank you very much for joining us from the Civil Defense Headquarters downtown. Again, to update you on the various closings, as Matt indicated, the northbound lane of the Trout River overpass along Interstate 95 is closed because of that truck. The other bridges that remain open are the Fuller Warren Bridge, the Acosta, and there the Trout River with the northbound lane closed. Jacksonville International Airport also closed, and bus service throughout the city has been canceled for today. The emergency number that you can call if you're looking for assistance, because as Matt indicated, the information, the closings are changing, by the minute. You can call the Mayor's Civil Defense Hotline at 630-2472, 630-2472. Jot that number down. If for some emergency you need to go outside, check with the people that answer the phones there, and they will help you out and tell you where you can get across. There are a couple of shelters for people who need assistance, need to get out of the cold. need some food, some clothing, the Red Cross has set those up at the Redeemer Episcopal Church at 7500 Southside Boulevard and at the Good Shepherd Episcopal Church at 1100 Stockton. Again, the best advice is to really just stay out of these conditions. It is very cold, it is very icy, and you might do yourself some harm if you do go out. Eyewitness News will continue to update you on the weather and road conditions throughout the day and later on Eyewitness News at 6. I'm Mike Maychak.
All right, temperatures, here you go. Still our cold cup lying in the east here, but notice the 30s now instead of the teens encompassing much of Louisiana and the lower Mississippi Valley. And then we start bringing some warmer air northward for Christmas Day. But again, looks like the snow will hang around for Christmas Day from the Carolinas down through Georgia, and maybe even still some of that hanging on across northern Florida. Good news for folks that just probably never have seen a Christmas before, especially the young ones down in this part of the world. Down to the south, 50s, 60s, and 70s across the Southland. Maybe a little optimistic on the warming here in the east. It will stay cool probably for a good part of the week next week, and maybe, you know, some changes after that. But definitely a pattern that is locked in right now. Here you go Sunday, a little weak disturbance coming on down for Christmas Eve, so a little light snow if you got any last-minute shopping plans in through here. Then on Christmas Day, it takes a turn northward, some light snow down into northern Georgia, and then heading up into New England. Systems in the west producing a lot of wind, a lot of Chinook winds to be dealing with here over the next several days as weak weather systems continue to come over the top of that ridge and really whip up the wind. By Tuesday, things drying out across the Southland and a slight modification in those temperatures.
On an average, too, but power comes back on.
So far, we've been fortunate. No serious traffic accidents or no fatalities to report as a result?
To this time, we have no fatalities reported, to my knowledge.
Okay, thank you very much, Matt Frankel. That is Matt Frankel, the local coordinator for the Civil Defense. We'd like to check in now with Captain Bean Bodine, who has his eye on the roadways there. Hello, Captain. How are things going?
Hi, Mike. As it stands right now on the downtown bridges, with the exception of the Acosta Bridge and the Fuller Warren Bridge aboard I-95, most all of our downtown bridges are closed. The Buckman Bridge aboard I-295 is shut down both north and south on 295. Intercoastal Waterway bridges on Beach Boulevard, that one is closed. As Mr. Frankel mentioned, the Atlantic Boulevard Intercoastal Waterway bridge is open. J. Turner Butler Boulevard at the Intercoastal Waterway, that span is also closed down. Sisters Creek Bridge out on the north side is shut down. The Rice Creek Bridge near Palatka is closed. Also, the Dames Point Bridge is closed. The Shands Bridge in Green Cove Springs is shut down. Everyone is discouraged from using the highways. Earlier this morning, 295, I-95, and I-10 were closed, but there were not enough officers to keep traffic getting onto and off of the interstates. So if you're going to be on the interstates and on the highways and byways, please drive carefully. Down in Putnam County, most all of the bridges are shut down there per the Putnam County Sheriff's Department. The Memorial Bridge in Palatka is closed until they can get sand crews in. Julington Creek, the bridge there in Mandarin, is shut down. Also, the Dames Point, as mentioned, is closed. The Trout River Bridge on Main Street is open, and also the Trout River Bridge on I-95 is open, but traffic is very slow. The Mayport Ferry is running. However, there is no bus service today per the Jacksonville Transportation Authority. From the FM 99 WQIK Traffic Center, I'm Captain Bodine for Eyewitness News.
Captain Bodine, I'd like to ask you what effect the trucks are having, the trucks that are dropping the sand down, on making the roadways any easier going.
They're bringing the sand in, and when they can get to the bridges, it clears it up for a little while, but pretty soon it starts freezing back up because the temperatures are still dropping, and it seems to work for a while, but then it freezes back up, and then you've got the icy situation once again.
All right, Captain Bodine, thank you very much. Best advice there, just stay put. In addition to these closings, all flights at the Jacksonville International Airport have been canceled. Bus service in the city has also been canceled for the day. Mayor Hazuri has set up an emergency number that you can call to get updates on the closings. That number is 630-2472. Jot that down just in case for some emergency you need to head out. 630-2472. If you are in need of assistance, the American Red
dangerous tonight. The roads are completely iced over, and as you can see, the folks who are venturing out into this winter storm are having all kinds of problems. This car slid off the pavement on I-295 on the west side and flipped over. Police are reporting one fatality on 95 and US 1 in St. Johns County, and there are numerous fender benders, some with injuries. Now, if you must travel, you should be aware that several roads are closed, including I-95 from St. Johns County to Duval County. I-75 from the Alachua County line to the Georgia state line is closed, as is I-10 from Jacksonville all the way to Tallahassee. All bridges in Jacksonville are shut down at this hour, except for the Acosta Bridge and portions of the Fuller Warren. Even those two bridges are very difficult to maneuver, and police are asking that unless you have an emergency, please stay home. Try not to drive or even walk in this mess. Emergency crews are having a tough time getting to people that need help tonight. Two fire trucks collided today on their way to this blaze at the Twin Towers senior community. Several people had to be evacuated from one of the towers, but luckily no one was hurt. Of course, Bill Ranby has been here all night and all through the day tracking this storm. He's in the Weather Center with the latest. And Bill, any end in sight to this mess?
Still some report of some light snow all around the First Coast area. Still flurries as far south as Gainesville at this hour, and freezing rain as far south as Tampa Bay at this hour. I want to show you SkyTrack on the 50-mile scan and show you that the precipitation virtually coming to an end. We still have some light flurries around, but they're not showing up well on SkyTrack, and you can see a little bit of an extended ground clutter pattern. Mayport reporting flurries, and still some flurries south of us toward Green Cove Springs. As far as the icy travel conditions, well, they are certainly around, and the snow is still falling from right along the coast on up to the north and east of us. That would be that map right there. You can see that the snowfall virtually ended for most of us, but again, a few flurries are a possibility right along the First Coast. As far as the snowfall totals, now I just got off the phone with the National Weather Service, and I cannot believe that they're going to try and say that all we had was 1/10 of an inch of ice and not any snow. Virtually every person that I talked to around town says 1 to 1.5 inches of snow have fallen. The additional snowfall is just about that. We'll see just a few flurries around, and of course that activity now passing off to the north and the east. Maybe an inch or two more from Brunswick up to Savannah. Donna will have more in just a bit, but again, a really incredible situation.
Bill, I've got to tell you, I have lived here my entire life, and aside from a few flurries back in about 1978 or so, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. How common is it for us to get something like this here in Jacksonville?
Well, of course, very uncommon to even get a snow like this. However, it's never ever happened before that there's been a measurable snowfall in the month of December. Our largest snowfall in Jacksonville, 1.9 inches. That occurred in February of 1899, so certainly a long, long time ago. Donna?
Okay, thank you, Bill. We'll hear more from you a little bit later. Now, imagine having to go through this fierce winter storm without any power. Well, that's just what some 12,000 JEA customers are going through tonight. It has been a long, cold, even dark day for them. Many of those without power have called us for information, so we've asked JEA spokesman Randy Boswell to join us now on the phone to let us know when the power will be returned. Randy, can you tell us what's causing all these problems at this point?
Donna, mostly we're having serious tree problems with the iced over trees getting into the lines. We also have a serious problem with the high usage due to the cold temperatures, and we have some conductors that are being stressed and are burning down due to the high loading, and we request that to the extent possible, people curtail the non-essential uses that they have.
Randy, we're looking at a lot of the crews out there working this afternoon. I can imagine you've got just about everybody you have out there.
That's true. We've got as many of our own people as well as our contract tree forces out doing as much as they can, but they're sure having a hard time getting around the city.
I can imagine that. We have had some calls from people who've said they have not had power for 10, 12 hours now. Any idea when we're going to be able to give those folks back some power?
Donna, we are having a massive amount of problems, particularly some folks in the Mandarin, some up off Fort Carolyn Road, and some in the Orange Park area have had extended outage. It's going to be, if we continue having problems, it'll be tomorrow late before we begin to make some serious headway here.
My goodness, so we're in for a long haul. Thank you very much, Randy Boswell. We appreciate it. Now, if you need to get a hold of JEA later on in this newscast, we will have their hotline number for you. Well, the nasty weather is also causing problems at the shopping malls tonight. This is normally one of the busiest weekends of the year, tomorrow being Christmas Eve. Roger Weeder says that is certainly not the case today. And Roger, I was driving by Regency on my way in, and it was almost deserted.
Donna, what's more surprising, though, is that some people did venture out to do some last-minute Christmas shopping. The big crowd did stay away, and it's easy to understand why. A piece of cardboard today was the best way to cross many of the city's bridges. It was a kind of day Jacksonville doesn't care to see. Because of all the ice and freezing temperatures, the Main Street Bridge was rendered useless. The nearby Acosta and Full of Warm bridges were kept open. In many cases, though, motors had to wait an hour or two to cross from the South Bank to the North Bank. But Regency was not hard to find. Last-minute Christmas shoppers would not be denied.
We hit a pole on the way here. We slid all over the road and hit a pole. It was pretty crazy.
Crazy? Maybe. Everyone had a reason to be out here.
Because we had one last present to buy. One last present.
You got it?
Yeah.
Well, I had to come get the kids' picture with Santa Claus last minute.
Okay.
I think it's neat to be out.
Regency Mall was glad a few people did come out. On what is traditionally a very busy day, sales were slow.
I think we've had about 5 sales since 9 o'clock, and it's noon.
Traffic's not what it should be, but it's much better than I really thought it would be.
The hope here is that the weather breaks and doesn't ruin Christmas Eve shopping. But that's out of the hands of the malls and the many motorists who today found it necessary to navigate ice. Now, the shopping malls have closed for the day at 4 o'clock. Regency and Orange Park malls have closed their doors, as well as many grocery stores. Donna?
Now, Roger, what about churches? We have had a lot of calls from folks who were planning to go to Christmas Eve services tomorrow. Are they going to have to cancel those?
Well, in some cases, yes, Donna. Trinity Baptist, First Baptist, Deer Meadows Baptist, they have all canceled their services for tomorrow. And if you're in doubt tomorrow about church services, make a phone call and double-check before you go.
All righty. Thank you very much, Roger. Now, as you might imagine, all this ice and snow is keeping our civil defense people incredibly busy. Our Public Works Director, Salem joins us now from the command center at the Sheriff's Office. And Mr. Salem, any idea how long the bridges and roads are going to be closed? Any update on that?
Yeah, Donna, as you mentioned before, the Acosta...
As the managers of the Omni Hotel downtown, they say the weather turned a dull Friday night into a busy one.
Tonight we were having a slow evening, and then the snow came, and all the guests came also. It was extremely busy.
Not all guests were pleased to be here, however. Gordon Irwin, who interrupted his trip to Fort Lauderdale because of the storm, checked in after waiting for 3 hours in traffic.
I don't think Jacksonville was prepared for it. The police weren't directing traffic very well. Everything was backed up for a long time. It still is. So.
Others, however, making the most of the idle time, spent it with friends in the hotel's bar. Their motto, why let a little ice ruin their Christmas? Brian Mylar, the News on 12.
Now, we cannot stress enough. As you've seen, the roads are in very bad shape tonight. Please be safe. If you don't absolutely have to, do not go out in this stuff. And I know that I know we are saying that over and over again, but for those of us who have been out in it, it is just the worst.
Well, we see video of people that had to go out to get their pictures taken with Santa Claus and things like that. Donna, you're right. You do have to stay inside tonight, and because of that, we have also a wind chill advisory in effect. Incredibly weird conditions around. This is snow falling just a short time ago. Our high temperature was actually 33 degrees at midnight. Now, that 18 degrees is the temperature at TV12. That's not going to be the official airport low temperature. You see the record low of 25 set back in 1975? Well, even the airport, which has been unusually warm for anybody around the city so far, is down to 25 degrees. We here at TV12, the temperature is down again to 18 degrees, and of course the winds are blowing very strong. We have a wind chill of only 3 above 0 at the present time, showing very light little bits of snow flurries and light snow around, though at times it'll look a little heavier than flurries. We will see this continue to drift off to the east, and it's hard to see exactly what's happening there, so we'll go to a satellite picture and show you there that through the day we had clouds, and actually this is early this morning. At about 3 o'clock this morning, the clouds shifting off to the east. These were the ones producing the sleet as they moved eastward. Snow is still continuing, and the back edge of the clouds now just to the east of Tallahassee, and again it all continues pushing to the east. As the clouds clear out tonight, it's going to get extremely cold. It's already extremely cold. but with the clear skies, temperatures dropping well down into the teens, certainly in the southeast, to cause certainly some hard freeze problems all the way down to the central part of the state. Clear across much of the country. This little system dropping southward will probably produce snow tomorrow in the nation's midsection. If you have some travel plans, I will try to be a little more specific on what you will do getting out of here coming up in just a bit.
Neither rain nor sleet.
Roads to start to de-ice a bit. Where the snow is heaviest on top of the sleet that we had, it might take until noon for the travel conditions to become passable from the first coast on up to extreme southeast parts of Georgia all the way up to Brunswick and then Savannah. Maybe about 10 a.m. where the snow is a little lighter, the sleet a little bit lighter to our west. And also from Orlando to Daytona Beach, temperatures are well below freezing now all the way back to Tampa, St. Pete. And this area will have icy roads until a good part of the morning, perhaps around 10 o'clock. So we're not going to be traveling out of Jacksonville anytime early in the morning, and don't try and travel out of here tonight, as we do expect, again, very nasty conditions through the night. In fact, your forecast for tonight includes the wind chill advisory. The light snow is going to be ending in the next hour or so. Lows down to 15 degrees inland, 18 right at the beach. Tomorrow, we'll see some sunshine and cold temperatures, but those icy road conditions in the morning, be very careful. Highs eventually 34 to 37, so I think by afternoon with temperatures above freezing and some sunshine, the roads will be melting off. Small craft advisory in effect, north winds at 15 to 25 knots, season surf rather large. 3 days out, look at the temperature on Christmas morning. Monday morning, 15 degrees. Our record low for tomorrow morning is 18. We probably will break that. Monday morning's record is 13. That was set way back in, actually 11 degrees, set back in 1983, and we could be very close to that. So we'll keep a close watch on those records and the extremely poor conditions out there right now.
You know, I think this is my fault because I asked you to order up some cold weather for Christmas, and I think I just went a little overboard.
That's right. Everybody else would like some warm, sunny weather, but no, here we are.
All right. Thank you, Bill.
All right.
Well, coming up in sports, the Gators get bullish on
Northwest at 13, gusting to 20, and the wind chill index a balmy 8 degrees. Let's go right to the satellite picture. This area of low pressure, the culprit. This is what brought in the snow to the first coast, and this cold front brought us the cool air. Just how cold is it? Very cold. In fact, peak power usage across the first coast. JEA wants everybody to cut back any non-essential power use. That means turning off your Christmas lights, folks, because heating supplies are going to be really needed tonight, and we need all that electricity to make sure people stay warm across the first coast, actually all over the southeastern United States. Now, for tomorrow, we're looking at 14 for a morning low. We had 75 cities break record lows in the United States today. We'll break one tomorrow morning. 22 at the beaches, 16 inland, 13 in Baker County, 12 for Waycross. Tomorrow afternoon, it might seem balmy as we make it up to 32 degrees. I put a question mark behind that high temperatures. It doesn't really seem like it. Let's take a look at the marine forecast. Winds northwest 20 to 25 knots. Rough seas, small craft advisory. Surf at 2 to 5 feet. Water temperature 54 degrees. And get this, on the long-range outlook, here's what it looks like. 32 tomorrow, record cold. 48 on Christmas Day, 57 Tuesday, 63 Wednesday, and back up to normal on Thursday. Those temperatures in the upper 30s and actually getting into the 60s are certainly going to see balmy for all of us.
Thank you very much, Brad. Catch your breath.
Yeah.
Okay, Glenn, I don't care about football. What's going on with the ski report?
Well, the ski report I happen to have right here. At Hidden Hills, number 7 is packed powder, 1 to 2 inches. That's ravines, a lot of moguls, pretty icy out there. And, of course, the Danes Point Bridge, closed for skiing, but great for tobogganing.
Sounds
kidding,
great.
folks. Don't go on out there, okay? All right, the Buffalo Bills. Of course, this is Week 16 of the National Football League. The Bills finally put it together against the Jets today, and it couldn't have come at a better time. They're 37-0 run-up over the Jets, gives Buffalo the AFC East title with a 9-7 record. The game was played in sub-freezing temperatures, only 21,000 fans in the stands. This Larry Kinnebrew second-quarter touchdown made it 10-0 Bills at the half, and this will most likely be the final game for Jets coach Joe Walton, who is under the falling axe after a 4-12 season. Jim Kelly threw a pair of second-half touchdowns. This one goes 25 yards to James Lofton. He breaks a tackle and works his way into the end zone. Kelly again just 6 minutes later in the third quarter. He beats the blitz and goes to Ronnie Harmon again for 25 yards. The Bills go on to trounce the Jets 37-0. Will advance to the playoffs as the Eastern Division champs. A couple of other games scheduled today. Washington leads Seattle all over Seattle, 29-0 late in the third. Tonight in the Astrodome, the Oilers in Cleveland. Winner takes the division. The loser needs help to get a wild card. Miami Dolphins need help to beat Kansas City tomorrow, and then for Indianapolis, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh all to lose if they hope to extend their season into the playoffs. The Chiefs, who have been working out in Vero Beach this week, are in a similar situation. They need a win, coupled with a Colts victory and losses by Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and the Raiders. Coach Marty Schottenheimer feels his club should have been in a better position at this stage of the season.
In all honesty, we're disappointed that we haven't won more football games. We've been pleased with some progress that's been evident through the last 5 or 6 weeks, but in the final analysis, our record is not anywhere near where we'd like to be or where we thought we'd be, to be honest with you.
We are better than what our record is, and we've lost some games. We've given some games away practically, and those are things you just can't hang your head on right now, because we are right now 8-7, and we have to look forward to this game to try and go out there and win.
And the Gators gave themselves an early Christmas present with a lopsided victory over South Florida this afternoon at the O'Connell Center in Gainesville. This one was never in doubt as the Gators dominated from the opening moments. Dwayne Shinsis has been the strength for the Gator team all season long. Today, no different. The 7-2 All-American scored 26 points. He gets 2 on the nice soft jumper right there. He also pulled down 12 rebounds, had 7 block shots, one of them right there. It was his best effort of the year. Stacy Poole out of Jacksonville at the other end of that block scores in the reverse lane.
Snow falling from the sky before. So it's like the first time we've ever got slide on snow and stuff.
I think it's neat. That's the news for now. We'll be back at 11 with more. Until then, good night.
We salute those who help make Christmas better for others.
They call us the Sunshine State, but where was the sunshine today? Who would have ever thought you would see this in Jacksonville? Or this? Or heard this?
They haven't offered to put us up. They haven't offered to feed us. They haven't done anything. They will not give us any information. All they say is the flight is canceled. Tough luck.
Thousands of holiday commuters are still stranded in airports, bus depots, and hotels, all missing some of that holiday cheer after they all promised, "I'll be home for Christmas." Tonight, thousands are without power, battling this freezing cold weather without any light or heat. We're going to show you what it's like to be in the Sunshine State when Mother Nature decides to throw her own Christmas party. Please join us for a special edition of tonight's News on 12. And just remember those folks who always told you you have a better chance of winning the lottery than having a white Christmas in Florida. The news is coming up right after the lottery drawing.
This is WTLV TV 12, Jacksonville, Florida.
Lottery Lotto game for December 23rd, 1989. Supervised by John Frazier with Lottery Security and Mac Harper of Pete Marwick. This week's Lotto Grand Prize is worth an estimated $6 million to a single winner. Grace Ladd mixes balls 1 through 49 into the chamber. Lotto is won by matching all 6 numbers drawn tonight in any order on your Lotto ticket. Here are this week's winning Lotto numbers. The first number is 35. The second number is 12. The third number is 9. The fourth number is 47. The fifth number is 39. And the sixth number is 29. So tonight's winning numbers 35, 12, 9, 47, 39, and 29. Join us tomorrow for Cash 3 and next Saturday for Lotto.
WTLV 12, Jacksonville. Thanks to you, the First Coast fastest growing television news. This is tonight's News on 12 with Donna Cluis, Dan Hicken with sports, and meteorologist Bill Ranby. The news starts now.
These are scenes from the Acosta Bridge tonight. Some folks trying to brave the elements are finding themselves stranded in the worst December snowstorm in Jacksonville's history. Good evening, I'm Donna Cluis. What a nightmare on area roads tonight. The whole city is virtually iced over, and despite warnings to stay inside, some people are still trying to drive. But even those of you who are at home aren't necessarily safe from this bitter cold. As many as 7,000 people are without power tonight. There are widespread outages around the city. Some have been without electricity for almost 24 hours. Now, Roger Weeder has been keeping tabs on all the cold weather problems tonight. And Roger, there are plenty of them, aren't there?
Don, it's been a night filled with accidents and people stranded because of the storm on almost any street. Ice sent cars in a spin. Traffic moved at a snail's pace over the Acosta Bridge.
Go slow now.
For some people, though, the hill to the bridge proved to be too much.
We're gonna try to bring it back down the hill so we can turn it around.
You didn't think it was this bad?
No, sir.
Still, people found it necessary to travel in some of the worst winter conditions Jacksonville has ever seen. This is Riverside Avenue. As you can see, it's just one solid sheet of ice. The accident over here is just one of many police have been working tonight. By comparison, this accident was minor. Police questioned why people were out driving at all.
It's cold, it's wet. There's accidents all over the place. It's icy, the streets are bad. Best thing I can do is try to stay home.
The frigid temperatures also kept the Red Cross busy.
Oh, really? 200? Oh, wow. A lot of people calling asking us for fuel oil and food. Pardon me. You'll see. This is the American Red Cross. May I help you?
The Davis family needed help. They found a warm place to stay since their home was without fuel oil.
Yeah, we had to go somewhere. I couldn't let my babies freeze.
In the past hour, the Red Cross has opened another shelter on the south side. If you need more information, you can call the shelter in Riverside at 387-3691 and on Southside Boulevard at 642-8803. Donna?
All right, thanks very much, Roger. Let's check in now with Bill Ranby to see how long we're going to have to put up with this mess. Bill, what's the latest?
Well, Donna, amazingly, it's still snowing outside. It's still very light snow, but it is still starting to cause some problems on the roadways, and travel, of course, is very icy throughout the entire First Coast region, and not only that, but through a lot of the southeast. Take a look at the map. You can see that throughout the southeast, icy problems, and snow still falling from eastern North Carolina right on down through Jacksonville, and even snow falling right now in Sarasota, Florida. And these are the temperatures at the present time. It's 20 degrees downtown, 22 on the west side and the beaches. The cold will be the big story overnight as the wind chills are very cold, but low temperatures. By morning, this is what I'm forecasting, and obviously a hard freeze because we're already at hard freeze levels, and that will continue for the next perhaps 10 hours. This could be a major, major problem for the citrus industry down around Orlando, where temperatures could approach 19 degrees for a low, and they've been below freezing again since about, 6 o'clock this evening, and below 27 degrees since about 8 o'clock this evening. A super hard freeze for them as well. Donna, I'll have more on our weather and what expects to happen over the next couple of days coming up in just a bit.
And Bill, I'm sure that these hard freezes are not going to make things any easier on the power companies either.
No, it won't. And in fact, because the temperatures are so cold now, and it looks like it may not rise above freezing during the day tomorrow, perhaps the high will stay below freezing, so that really not a lot of melting will go on tomorrow, and perhaps we'll have some major traffic problems right on through the day tomorrow and on into Christmas morning. Donna?
All right. Thank you very much, Bill. We'll check in with you a little bit later. Now, as we said, we have received hundreds of calls tonight from people all around Jacksonville who are without power. Last we heard, nearly 7,000 people are spending this evening in the dark. JEA is doing its best to get the power restored to affected areas of the city. They have had the worst problems with Orange Park and Mandarin. We've got Randy Bosworth from JEA on the phone for an update on the situation. Randy, what's the holdup in getting power to that area?
Well, Donna, we've got most of Orange Park, almost all of Orange Park back in service. We're still asking those people to conserve as much as they can. Our facilities are stretched to the breaking point in that area. We still have a lot of tree problems in Mandarin, but we're improving on that and making progress. We do have some problems up in the Fort Carolyn and Mount Pleasant Road area, and we'd ask those customers to try to conserve as much as they can also.
We're seeing the video of your crews out working tonight. Now, I understand that has really been your biggest problem, is folks just using more electricity than they need to use and overloading the system.
Well, that's been a problem to us, and that's why we've asked people to cut back. The other problem has been the ice on the trees getting into the lines, and of course getting crews around town is very difficult for us also.
Will the cold weather hamper your efforts tomorrow to continue to try to solve this thing?
The travel problem will hamper us considerably, and it has all day today. We don't have any bridges to cross either, unless the DOT or the police can provide for us.
Okay, Randy Bosworth, thank you very much for being with us tonight. We appreciate it, and good luck to you in getting that power restored.
Thank you.
Now, many of you may be using space heaters to warm your homes tonight, and never has it been so important to use them safely. A space heater is apparently to blame for an early morning house fire that consumed a home on Debula Drive. 8-year-old Alonzo Mallory Jr. could not escape the flames, and he is dead tonight.
And all the other children was on the outside. We thought Alonzo was out there. That's the little boy who got buried. And we looked for him, and they looked for him. They went back in, and they couldn't find him. They called, and they went on, but they never did find him.
Now, 15 others in the home did make their way to safety tonight. As you can see, the home itself is a complete loss. If you'd like to, you can call the Red Cross at 358-8091. They need clothing and household goods to help fire victims this season. Now, not only firefighters, but police, public works, just about every available crew is out tonight trying to get a handle on the weather situation. We are hoping to go live to Civil Defense in just a few minutes to get an update on the roads and the other situations on the road tonight. I understand that we do now have Steve Weintraub live with us to talk to about the road situation. And Steve, what bridges right now remain closed and what roads?
I've just been advised that the Department of Transportation has spread dirt on the Fullerwarren and the Acosta Bridge. Therefore, both of those are open. However, traffic is moving slowly. All your other bridges are closed at this time.
Now, do you expect those bridges over the Intercoastal Waterway to remain closed all night?
The one bridge, and I know you're particularly interested in this, the one bridge going over via Beach Boulevard is open. The other two are still closed.
Now, what about tomorrow? I know that we're supposed to have a little bit sunnier skies tomorrow, but I know it's still going to be very cold. Is that going to remain the same problem then?
Yes, with the frigid temperatures, I imagine that the ice is going to stay on the ground, and that's going to continue with the hazard. We're going to, hopefully DOT will work throughout the night to try to spread more dirt and maybe offer better transportation tomorrow.
Any serious accidents tonight in the wake of all this?
No, luckily enough, we've had some accidents, but no serious accidents and no reports of any fatalities at this time.
Well, thank goodness. Let's hope our luck holds up. Thanks a lot, Steve. We appreciate you being with us.
Okay, Don.
Well, when we come back, meteorologist Bill Ranby will be back with the latest on the weather forecast, and hundreds are trying to get out or into Jacksonville. We'll have the latest on holiday travel problems.
WTLV TV12 and Publix are proud to be part of the farewell tour of Gunther Gable Williams as he says goodbye to Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus after more than 20 years of performing. Join us for Gunther Appreciation Night, Friday, January 19th, 8 p.m. at the Jacksonville Coliseum, when all kids under 12 with a coupon from Publix will receive a free Gunther Gable Williams commemorative poster as our gift. Tickets for WTLV TV12 night are on sale now at all Ticketmaster locations, so get yours today and join us at the greatest show on earth.
At Circuit City's holiday sale, save on this Toshiba 19-inch color TV with remote, just $269.97. This GE 4-head VCR with on-screen programming, only $269.97. And Panasonic's full-size VHS camcorder with flying erase head, now a low $859.97. This season's most exciting gifts are on sale now at Circuit City, where service is state of the art. 'Cause 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 'cause
flights of fantasy are performed exclusively on Pirelli tires.
The surprisingly affordable Pirelli P4 starts at only $32.95 at Jim Martin Tire.
Here's a look at tonight's winning lotto numbers: 35, 12, 9, 47, 39, and 29. Well, many holiday travelers are, as you would expect, extremely frustrated by this weather. Thousands of people are stranded here in Jacksonville. The airport shut down completely early this morning. Officials say they simply don't have the equipment they need to clear the runways. That news left many travelers upset.
They haven't offered to put us up. They haven't offered to feed us. They haven't done anything. They will not give us any information. All they say is the flight is canceled. Tough luck.
Word is the airport will probably remain closed until tomorrow afternoon. Delta has already canceled all its flights until 4 p.m. tomorrow. Now, if you have a reservation, be sure to check flight schedules in the morning. The Greyhound bus station has also canceled all of its scheduled trips. The terminal is packed with people who in most cases have nowhere to go. Many of them are furious, some saying they can't believe a small storm like this one could cripple Jacksonville.
Snowstorm like this was projected, and they did nothing in preparing to clear the highways and byways so that this wouldn't happen. All right, and I think that right now it's a lack of management on the part of the people who control this part of the sector of the society.
Still, officials at Greyhound say they will not provide service until the roads are safe. Now, many churches in our area have canceled services tomorrow. Some of them have called us, and we have a list of those who are not holding Christmas Eve services on Sunday. All right, we do not have that for you right now. Hopefully we'll get it to you later. There are several churches who are at least not holding morning services tomorrow. Some are planning to hold services in the evening, and we'll try to get that for you a little bit later in the newscast. Right now, let's check in with Bill Ranby to see what the weather forecast is looking like at this point. And can we see an end in sight at least here, Bill?
Yes, we can. It's cold, and it continues cold. And we shouldn't really neglect our friends up in South Georgia because they've had even heavier snows than we have, from Brunswick up to Savannah, 3 to 5 inch totals of snow. And this could be the heaviest snow that's ever occurred in Savannah. It almost was here in Jacksonville. It's very close now. They haven't gotten us a new total from the airport. It's been too cold for them to go outside and check the latest snowfall. But we've got 1.4 inches downtown here at TV 12 as our total of snow at this point. Let's go to the record book and see exactly what's going on. 25, a new record low temperature tied for this date. 33 degrees, the high temperature occurred at midnight last night and early this morning. Right now at TV 12, where the temperature is very cool here, cooler than it is out at the airport, we have a reading of 20 degrees and a wind chill of only 5 degrees above zero with north winds at 10 miles per hour. The pressure is pretty high, and it's still on the rise at 30.38. Now, Skytrack on its close-up 50-mile scan still has been depicting just a small amount of very light precipitation, and it still continues in and around the first coast. Let's go to the satellite picture and show a little more of what's been happening. Clouds in and around the extreme southeast part of the country have been moving from west to east throughout the southeast part of the country here and continue that motion. The clear edge of skies now is from Gainesville on up to Valdosta, very close to us, and we'll see the clouds break up in the next 3 to 4 hours here along the first coast. It's taken quite a while, though, for that snow to end. Clear across the Southland, very cold. Another couple of storm systems trying to dive southward across the nation's midsection tomorrow. Some light snow perhaps around Kansas City and St. Louis, and also the upper peninsula of Michigan. And this, by Christmas morning, will be also diving southeastward, perhaps not giving us snow, but could be very close again. Not a major system like this current one is, but maybe some light snows for central and north Georgia and parts of the Appalachians. This whole system sliding east-southeast and then diving off away from us. This is tomorrow morning throughout the southeast. We'll have cleared out with the clouds offshore and the snow still occurring across eastern parts of North Carolina and then moving offshore during the day. That means it's going to be a windy, very cold day with sunshine here along the first coast as we keep an eye on the system out to the north and west of us. High pressure building in means the winds still tomorrow will be rather strong out of the northwest with the center of the high out over Mississippi and Louisiana, but that center will drift across the state and throughout the southeast on Sunday night, Monday morning, making that perhaps the coldest night that we will see. I'll be back in just a bit to talk a little bit more about exactly what's happening right now and what I think is going to happen as far as travel conditions coming up early tomorrow morning. Stay with us.
Thunderstorms really are columns of explosion. Growing up isn't easy. There are so many things that stand between you and success. You find something you can do and you stick with it. That's why you've got to spend time with kids.
When you were growing up, was there so much drugs and violence around you?
When I was growing up. Because role models are important, and kids really do listen to someone who cares enough to make a difference.
The News on 12. Our people make a difference.
Another in our series of unforgettable moments. The FBI apprehends Al Capone on tax evasion. 1, 2, 3! Dr. Huxtable apprehends Theo on homework evasion. Sun is up, up! For this and other unforgettable moments, tune in to this station 5 times a week.
The Cosby Show. It's unforgettable. 5 times a week.
Weekday afternoons at 5 on TLV 12.
That's the first list of churches. We hope we'll have a few more of those. If we do have any more, we'll certainly try to get them out to you before the broadcast is over. That's for tomorrow morning, the church closings. Icy roads until noon throughout the southeast. Don't try and drive I-95 or 75 or I-10, as it will be perhaps very, very icy through noon. They've had snow as far south as Sarasota, Florida this evening, and this could be the scenario early in the morning, especially around the First Coast, a real mess, and icy roads certainly until noon. The sun will come out, and it will probably melt somewhat on the roadways. However, because of the volume of ice that we have out there and the extremely cold temperatures we shall see tomorrow, it'll be hard for us to really melt off all of the snow and ice that has occurred. Icy roads around Orlando and Daytona Beach until 10 a.m., so driving up from the south, I wouldn't recommend it for folks because it'll be bad. In fact, if I were recommending to somebody to try and come into town tomorrow, maybe if I were to arrive around 4 or 5 o'clock here in the afternoon, that would be the best time, as we just have the warmest temperatures and also still the sun shining at that time. Later on tomorrow night, the temperatures will go on rapidly down below freezing as soon as the sun does set for us. Here's what we're expecting tonight along the First Coast. Very cold weather. Snow ending and, of course, clearing. The low from 17 to 18, about 15 out on the west side of town. Now, the hard freeze warning, of course, remains in effect through a good part of tomorrow morning. Even tomorrow, we may not rise above freezing. I'm forecasting a high of 32 degrees inland, 34 at the beach with sunshine, and those roads remaining icy through most of the day. Small craft advisory, winds out of the north at 15 to 25, seas 7 to 10, 3 to 6 feet of surf with 54-degree water. Now, the 3-day outlook shows temperatures very cold again on Christmas morning. Monday morning down to 15 degrees, and we will have some cloud cover mixed in, so holding the high perhaps down to 42 degrees. Tuesday, another cold morning, 21 degrees for a low and 49 degrees for a high. We will, fortunately, see some moderation thereafter as temperatures could be back up maybe into the 60s by Thursday as it looks right now, but extremely cold the early part of this week. Very reminiscent of Christmas of 1983 when we had the low temperature record of down to 11 degrees.
Okay, well, Bill, we all appreciate all the hours you put in. Bill's been here practically nonstop for the past 2 days, and you've done a great job. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Donna. Thank you very much.
Well, sports is next, and the only one feeling hurt in the house of pain are the Oilers. Dan explains next.
Want to go for a spin? I'm a wheel watcher. I'm a wheel watcher. Every day. I love to play. I'm a wheel watcher. I'm a wheel watcher. Become one now.
Weeknights at 7 on TLV 12.
Beget lies. God, you sound like Mother. Well, she happens to be right. Lying is a vicious circle, and there's no way out except to do it.
One out of every 5 people who try cocaine get hooked. But that's not your problem. Or is it?
That was, of course, the list of all the churches that are having at least no morning services tomorrow, and we will try to show you more of those before the end of the newscast. Dan's here with the sports now. I know that hasn't played a very big role today because of all the weather, I'm sorry to say. But
it's okay. Weather is playing a role in the sports
Oh, it
world.
is?
Yes,
okay.
it is.
Well, tell us about that.
Well, the weather's good in Houston when you're inside. Outside,
Well.
it's freezing. But maybe that 61-7 thrashing last weekend took more out of the Houston Oilers than we thought. Then again, maybe it didn't. But before we get to tonight's Houston-Cleveland highlights, listen to Mike Patrick and Joe Theismann talk about our weather.
Leads West Virginia against Clemson at the Mazda Gator Bowl.
That's the Gator Bowl from Jacksonville, Florida, where they get dumped on by the weatherman this week. It's been nasty in the south.
8 inches of snow out there.
Inches. Now, Bill, I don't, where do these exaggerations come from? 8 inches of snow? Joe Theismann, that's why we're sportscasters. Eric Metcalf, a great running back, a rookie, breaks it early, 68 yards, and Cleveland's looking good. They're up 10-0 before Houston knew what hit them. Kozar then goes up top to Reggie Foghorn Langhorn. Yes! 17-0, but the play of the game, check this one out now. Warren Moon rallying the team. Whoops! Good snap. The ball's loose. Cleveland recovers, but Clay Matthews with the biggest gaffe in 10 centuries. What is he doing? He pitches it back. Houston gets it, and Moon makes him pay. Down 17-13, Warren simply takes the very next play, beats the blitz, finds Drew Hill. It's 20-17 with just a couple minutes left. Houston on top. Well, sayonara to that man, Joe Walton, who probably has coached his final game for the New York Jets. A loss, 37-0 to Buffalo, that puts the Bills in the postseason party as AFC Eastern champs. Blocked field goals and some tough running by Larry Kinnebrew, just part of the reason the Bills roll there. You see Kinnebrew had 91 yards today on 17 carries, and the fans were on hand, all 22,000 of them at the Meadowlands. One touchdown pass by Kelly right here to James Lofton. He had 2 on the day. Buffalo wins it 37-0. One other NFL score to report: Washington beats Seattle 29-0. That is a final, unless they're still playing out there, which I don't think they are. The Redskins, a great season, 10-6, but they are out of the playoffs. Well, unfortunately, the playoff picture is still not very clear. We do know the Dolphins may be still in tomorrow's game against Kansas City. Very meaningful if Houston holds on to win. Well, on to college basketball, and we'll start our hoop roundup in Gainesville, where the Gators hosted the South Florida Bulls today. A little bit late because South Florida was late getting to Gainesville. It took them an hour and a half extra to get there. They didn't tip it off until 3:10, and the Gators were extra ready. Ronaldo Garcia with the three-pointer, Dwayne Shintis with the little jump hook, and the Gators led at the half 36-26. At the second half, well, Florida really poured it on. Jacksonville's own Stacey Poole getting into the act. The kid from Forest misses the dunk, but grabs the rebound and sticks it back in. He had 6 points. Best dunk of the day, though, by Triple D. It's a specialty. Dwayne Davis, dunk right there. And the Gators roll on today. Shinsis had 26 points, 12 rebounds. Livingston Chapman had 11 points. Florida now 3-2. They win 91-54. Florida now 3-2. Other scores to tell you about: the Illini roll over Wisconsin, Green Bay. Michigan was better 8 months ago. They're still better than Seton Hall. They win again in the rematch of the NCAA championship game. Arkansas, big over VMI. Indiana all over Iowa State. Duke now 5-2. UNLV wins over Iowa. Memphis State is leading Jackson State. UCLA and Fullerton State just underway. St. John's beats Niagara. And Michigan State beats Eastern Michigan 87-73.
See, so there were plenty of sports going on tonight.
There's a little bit of sports going on in this cold, cold world. How are we getting home tonight? That's all
I don't think we are.
What are we doing?
So we're going to have a slumber party here at the station.
Okay.
Thanks, Dan.
Okay.
Well, when we come back, Bill Ranby tells us what to expect in the weather tomorrow and a lighter look at the fun the snow and ice can bring. That's next.
I'll be the mother of 6.
The magical world of Disney, Disneyland tickets. While Mary is only on NBC.
Only on TLV 12.
The men have challenged the women at Jeopardy!
Zeppo. Who is the fifth Marx brother?
And they're winning!
Mike, your mom's on the phone. Your sister had twins.
Daily double.
But it isn't just getting the answers
Sometimes
right.
called man's losing battle.
It's getting just the right answer.
Ball spot.
Jeopardy! The most fun you can have with your brain.
Weeknights at 7:30 on TLV 12.
Well, Bill's here with a final look at the weather, and you're going to tell us when we wake up in the morning, all of this is going to be magically removed.
Well, you know, you're going to wake up and say, this is Minnesota for crying out loud, because it's going to be icy out there and white as we've had the snow still piling up all night long. Not really piling up, but still amounting. And the mess is out there right now and continues to be. In fact, the icy roadways are a major problem. As we take a look at that map, you can see the icy roadways up and down the East Coast will continue in force right on through the morning, as perhaps still some snow accumulating upwards from Savannah northward through South Carolina and North Carolina. There's your forecast for tomorrow. Icy morning roads, sunny and cold with a high temperature of 32 degrees inland, 34 at the beaches, and we continue with the weather problems into the morning hours, as the freezing temperatures will be there through most of the day tomorrow, perhaps all of the day tomorrow, and the wind chill advisory continues overnight tonight and also into the morning tomorrow. So major problems continue, Donna, and it doesn't look like it's going to be alleviated anytime early in the day on Sunday, perhaps all day long, a real mess.
Okay, Bill, thanks. And, of course, we will be here first thing tomorrow morning to keep you informed about the weather situation. We might as well. We have to be here anyway. But while all this snow and ice can be a hassle, some are turning this historical event into fun. As we close tonight, a look at some
Storm system, and Jacksonville, Florida received 1 inch. Still a lot of cold temperatures in the east, as much as 30 to 35 degrees below normal. And these are the record lows from Friday. Look at this. December record lows, all-time record lows where the red dots are located.
Line help 396-5310 or 633-5000. As we take a look at some of our weather pictorials that we have this morning, we are watching an area of finally some clearing skies, and the 4-day forecast shows that we'll be on the verge of a record low temperature this morning. Officially, it's 22 degrees at the airport. Most areas around town, though, are reporting 18 degrees, and that would at least tie a record low for this morning. Looks like about 18 degrees on Christmas morning, but at least the temperatures do improve very slightly. Temperatures today will struggle to get up to the freezing mark. We're looking for 34, but it won't stay there very long. Here's the satellite picture from the long range out. The Gale Center now is off the Carolina coast, and snow is finally starting to taper down in the Carolinas. The 7 o'clock snowfall report at Myrtle Beach, 14 inches of snow, 8 inches in several other places, 4 inches officially at Savannah. Jacksonville had a little bit less than that, but some areas around town and in extreme southeastern Georgia had about 2 inches of snow in certain locations. Satellite picture shows that we're clear over land, but certainly a lot of clouds continue to exist just offshore. The winds are from the northwest, so they should remain offshore. Wind chill advisory is in effect for wind chills this morning, anywhere from 0 to -20, especially during the morning hours. Now, later on this afternoon, this current temperature of 18 degrees, of course, will warm up a little bit, and the winds will probably die down slightly. Right now, they're out of the northwest at 12 miles an hour, and that gives us a wind chill factor, a very uncomfortable, unseasonal, if nothing else, -2 degrees. A hard freeze warning continues to be in effect. Temperatures have been below freezing since 1 a.m. yesterday morning, so we're now working on 31 hours of sub-freezing temperatures, and other than a brief break this afternoon, it's going to stay below freezing until probably some minor melting may be seen on Christmas afternoon. Snowfall records, of course, have been broken here in the month of December. Trace was the old record. We've had 8/10 officially reported at the airport, but again, some areas have had up to 2 inches of snow. 1 inch also reported over at Cecil Field. Just before midnight, we broke the record low for December 23rd, and 18 is the record for this morning. That may be broken too. Temperatures in the teens till about 9 o'clock, struggling to get up to freezing, but don't plan on any melting at all because it won't be there that long. And temperatures tonight again will be down in that teen range. So if you're getting ready to head out to church this morning, please reconsider it. All the roads through northeast Florida and southeastern Georgia are completely iced over. There's been no melting and no relief from this very treacherous driving condition that we have. And I would certainly recommend that you not drive at all. And if you have any questions about your church service, certainly give them a call before you go off to church because there's a good chance that church services have, in fact, been canceled for this Sunday. Take care of yourself. We'll be back at 9 o'clock with more updates on the weather and as well as the bridges and road status and also JEA conditions again. So take care and have a very pleasant, sunny, if not very cold.
We don't need any more snow in the Carolinas as they have already had some locally heavy amounts. Still around Wilmington, we've had about 12 to 13 inches of snow. Also around Myrtle Beach, about 12 inches of snow, and it's still coming down right there around Wilmington. Lighter snow, though, is anticipated today for places like Indianapolis, Chicago, and St.
5 are closed. Sections of Interstate 10 are closed as that ice continues to be a problem, although the precipitation has ended. It's not, we're seeing no snow or freezing rain of any kind this morning. Now, we've had 14 inches reported at Myrtle Beach, Wilmington, North Carolina, 13 inches of snow. Now, that's an all-time record snowfall for Wilmington, North Carolina. The old record's 12.5. That dates back to 1874. That's when they began keeping records in Wilmington, North Carolina. It was
have always made this stretch of the Louisiana Gulf Coast home for the winter. Now the law says it is their home. The Cameron Prairie National Wildlife Refuge, established this year. We've been destroying 500,000 acres of wetland every year. Here are a few we chose not to destroy for the sake of the birds. We made another decision this year for the sake of the Florida panthers. Once these lovely cats roamed all over the southeast, a few dozen of them may be left in this swamp. This swamp is theirs now, the Florida Panther National Wildlife Refuge. Panthers are shy, very, and do best when left alone. So for a while...
A is closed, and they're saying it's going to be closed until noon tomorrow as it looks now. No bus service and no Skyway service for Jacksonville Transit. So please be advised that you don't really want to travel unless it's absolute emergency, and we would like you to try and just stay put, at least through a good bit of this day and possibly right into Christmas morning. We'll have more updates on the half hour here at TV 12 and also a news broadcast coming up around noontime. Thanks for watching Channel 12.
Is certainly asking that you conserve electricity through the day and do not use unnecessary lights or any other power sources that you can because of all the cold weather we're having. The power consumption is already at a maximum. Here are JEA hotline phone numbers that you can call: 396-5310 or 633-5000. And this information just in, the malls are also going to be open. Regency Square and Orange Park malls both will be open from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And if you are planning on making your way out to one of those malls, please be extremely cautious in driving. Roads are very icy, and there doesn't appear to be any break from them and any melting of this icy road condition until at least mid-afternoon tomorrow, Christmas Day. Driving is probably not any greater than 20 miles an hour any place that you look. At least, though, we do have some sunny skies, and we can see that from the vantage point of our satellite. Clouds have developed rapidly over the warmer water when this cold air goes over it, and that's exactly what we're looking at here. Sunny skies for us, but just along the coast and just offshore, dense overcast skies. So the winter storm warnings and watches have been dropped, of course, and all that snow continues to make its way up and is now tapering off the South Carolina and North Carolina coastal areas. A wind chill advisory continues to be in effect for wind chill factors from 0 to minus 20 degrees, even though currently at 10 o'clock we are 23 degrees here at Broadcast House. The winds are out of the northwest at a very strong 12 miles an hour, and that makes the wind chill factor feel like +4. So even if you're not planning on driving but just going outside to try to enjoy some of this snowfall that we do have and have had around our TV4 viewing area, please dress very warmly for it. The hard freeze warning continues in effect also. Temperatures have been below freezing since 1 a.m. Saturday morning and will likely be below freezing except for maybe an hour or two this afternoon. They'll be below freezing until mid-afternoon Christmas Day. Here's the forecast temperature curve. You can see barely expecting a high up to about 32 or 33, maybe 34 degrees, but there will be no melting, even with the sunshine, because of this. Temperatures tonight will go back into the upper teens, but you may remember the big freeze of Christmas 1983. It won't be a record low like a near record low we had for today. So what's the prospects for the next 4 days? Here's our 4-day forecast. The high expected to reach barely 34 degrees this afternoon, and after a morning low of 18 degrees Christmas morning, tomorrow morning, a high mid-afternoon will be in the mid-40s, will be in the 50s Tuesday and Wednesday. And that's certainly good news. We look forward to those warming temperatures, One good thing about Jacksonville, when we get very cold temperatures like this, it doesn't last forever. And that's something that the poor folks up north can't say because the temperatures stay bitterly cold all winter long. They're very brief for us. Well, let's check in with the Civil Defense Director and our reporter Mike Maychek, and he is with Civil Defense Director Matt Frankel, two very familiar faces that we saw plenty of yesterday and we'll see again today. Mike?
Thank you very much, Woody. We're down here at the Police Memorial Building, the Civil Defense headquarters during this snowstorm. I'm here with Matt Frankel. He's the Civil...
For the weather to break. It's the weatherman, is obviously not predicting that the temperature's going to go over 32 degrees, which means we will not get any relief today.
Now, on our way down here, we noticed some melting along the bridges and, in fact, along some of the roadways, and that might give some people the thinking that things are improving, the roads may not be as bad as we're all saying they are.
That's very localized, and we have to watch that cabin fever type situation. We've all been sitting home watching the weather around us. It's still, the roads are just still too treacherous. The Florida Highway Patrol and the Sheriff's Office and the Mayor's Office have been asking people just to stay at home today.
What is the likelihood of people who are more or less trapped in Jacksonville who would like to get out or, in fact, get in on some of the major arteries like I-95, I-10, I-75? Is there the possibility of those roads opening up today?
Okay. They're not, according to the weather, the way the weather looks, we don't predict that those are going to open up today. I-10 is closed west of Jacksonville. I-75 is closed from Georgia to Ocala. I-95 is closed south of Jacksonville. So we're just basically locked into where we are.
You've been providing assistance to some travelers who've been stranded through the Red Cross emergency shelters. Are those shelters still open? Can people still go to those Lutheran churches?
Episcopal churches.
Episcopal churches,
okay.
Excuse me.
That's okay. We closed those shelters down at 10 o'clock today. We accommodated 26 stranded motorists during the night, relocated a bunch more. We also had there was a shelter open, one night, a voluntary shelter open in Baldwin that accommodated 300 people at the junior-senior high school. All those shelters have been closed down, but they are on standby. Should we have a need, should the roads, till we find stranded motorists again tonight, we will reopen those shelters, or if we have a problem with electricity, we will reopen those shelters and bring people to those shelters.
Do you think it's very likely that you'll have the kind of backups that you had yesterday along the Fuller Warren and along the Acosta? Early this morning, traffic was going over very slow but steady, and there was virtually no traffic whatsoever.
Well, the reason for that is they're not coming through Camden County, Georgia. They're not coming over the Georgia line. So basically, we've cut off the flow of traffic coming into Duval County. That's why the traffic is slowed down.
I understand also, because of the bad road conditions, people have had a problem getting heating fuel into their homes. What have you heard? You've been getting calls from people asking for assistance. What can they do if there's a problem there?
We're trying to come up with some solution. It's too dangerous for the fuel oil trucks to be on the road, and it is too dangerous for people to be driving around, shopping around for fuel oil. So we're going to try and come up with some sort of regional or local district type solution to the problem, and we're just right now analyzing what our alternatives are and what our options are.
Speaking of shopping around, both malls, Orange Park, major malls, and Regency Square are going to be open today. It is the day before Christmas, and I'm sure a lot of people who have had cabin fever for the last day are saying, I've got to get out, I've got to pick up those last-minute gifts. Your response to that?
I don't know whether it's worth it, whether possibly going out and driving around and possibly creating bodily injury to yourself, causing damage to your car, causing bodily damage to somebody else, is worth getting that present in on time. I have sympathy for the malls, and this is their season, but my job is to protect lives and property, and that's what we're trying to do: keep people safe and from harm's way and off the roads.
Okay, and watching all those bridges and evaluating things, and
right.
as soon as the
situation, as soon as things break, we will be in touch with the media and tell people that everything's free to go. But right now, it is not that case.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Frankel. That's Matt Frankel, the coordinator of the local civil defense. We're down here at the Police Memorial Building, where they are keeping track of the situation. And as Mr. Frankel pointed out, and as we have reiterated time and time again, in spite of the melting that is occurring and the sun that is out, and it looks great outside, there is still plenty of ice on the roads, and it is quite treacherous. So the advice is to, once again, stay home, deal with the cabin fever as best you can, and try to enjoy the holidays. Back to you, Woody.
Okay, Mike, thank you. I might also mention that those of you who may be thinking about trying to get to the 11 o'clock church service, make sure that you call your church before you venture out, because there's a good chance church services for the rest of the morning and the day have in fact been canceled. And that's certainly good advice about some of the drainage where the sun was a little bit warmer than the temperature recorded, because the official temperatures recorded and the ones we report are measured in the shade, so the sun may do some temporary melting, but it will refreeze again shortly after sunset tonight. So very hazardous conditions. Try to stay inside if you can, as long as the remote control works in your...
Well, very hazardous. Snow emergency information here. No bus service today. The JTA is closed today. The airport, International Airport Jacksonville, is closed today. It's maybe going to open by noon tomorrow, as they're saying at the present time. Runways are just too icy to land or to take off, so obviously not something you want to do. The bridges around town, a few of them are open. The Acosta remains one of the open ones. The Beach Boulevard and Atlantic Boulevard bridges at the Intercoastal Waterway are open. The Fuller Warren Bridge is open, the Trout River at 95. All of the other bridges around Jacksonville remain closed. The bridges, the main ones in St. Johns County, are closed. That would be the Shands, the 312, Julington Creek, and Palm Valley bridges. Those are closed. Now, the major arteries, the interstates around, are also mainly closed. 95 north of Duval County up into Georgia is closed. It's closed also in St. Johns County, where traffic is being diverted instead to Phillips Highway, which is US 1. I-75 is also closed from South Georgia to Central Florida down to around Ocala. And Interstate 10 is closed from Jacksonville all the way out to Tallahassee. That would be from the Duval County border westward to Jacksonville, or rather to Tallahassee, eastward into Jacksonville. It's open in and around town if you're trying to get out and about and travel. But it is extremely icy out there. We would appreciate your trying to stay off the roadways as much as possible, and of course conserving that electricity. Now, throughout the day, we will continue to have updates as we go along. Certainly this morning is extremely cold outside, and we will continue with the very cold temperatures. It is possible temperatures could get up to and slightly above freezing this afternoon, and with the sun, it will probably do some melting. But on the skin, it'll be very, very cold, so there's a wind chill advisory for this morning. Continued sunny, windy, and cold for the rest of this day. 32 inland, 34 degrees at the beaches for those high temperatures. This morning, we made it down to 22 degrees, not a record. Last night, before the night changed over, we got down to 24 degrees, so a record low for yesterday. And the snowfall total officially, unfortunately, is going to go down as 0.8 of an inch. Many folks around town had more than that, and there was 3 to 5 inches of snow up around Brunswick to Savannah, up to 8 to 10 inches of snow in coastal North Carolina and from Myrtle Beach northward. So that's why we're advising folks not to travel. People trying to decide, should I come down from South Carolina? They have relatives. No, the best thing you can do is just postpone it for a day. I realize that could cause a problem with Christmas, but you'd rather be safe than to be some kind of dangerous situation. Again, we'll have updates continuing on through the morning on the half hours and a news broadcast coming up around noontime. Please stay with us on TV 12.
Stay tuned to TLV 12 for further information. We now return to our regularly scheduled program.
For all your Maalox moments.
The Volvo 240 has a reputation for surviving accidents.